The psalter was placed on the table. Every eye turned toward it. The vicar cleared his throat. "This is the Canterbury Psalter," he said. Gasps moved through the room. Sir Thomas stood close by. His hand rested near the case. He scanned the guests one by one. Slack leaned toward Marple. "Remarkable, isn't it?" Marple nodded slightly. "Indeed, Slack. But remark on people, not pages." Lady Hartwell stepped nearer, her expression calm, voice firm, a treasure of faith, but also a target. Wilkins, the so-called professor, smirked. "Surely we are safe in this hall." Mrs. Crawford tilted her head. "Safe? Or watched?" Her tone carried weight. Marple sat in the corner. Her needles clicked softly. She looked at hands, not faces. One guest shifted too often. Another avoided eye contact. Barrow stood apart, silent, watching, measuring. The villagers whispered at the back, excitement mixed with unease. The psalter gleamed under the light. "Ladies and gentlemen," said the vicar, "we thank Sir Thomas for this honour." Sir Thomas gave a short nod. "Guardianship is a duty, not pleasure." His eyes remained fixed on the table. Marple crossed his arms. "Suspicion must not sleep tonight," Wilkins laughed. "My dear fellow, this is Christmas." Marple did not smile. Mrs. Crawford lowered her voice. "Christmas attracts wolves as well as saints." Hartwell's gaze sharpened. She seemed to weigh every word. Hastings glanced around. So many strangers in one small place. "Yes," said Marple quietly. "Strangers never stay strangers for long." Her needles paused. Her eyes lifted. The case stood firm. The lock was simple. Too simple. Marple saw Sir Thomas tighten his grip. He knew the risk. The vicar tried to calm the mood. "Let us not speak of danger." But unease hung. Marple tapped the glass with one finger. "Perfection invites envy." Wilkins raised his eyebrows. "Do you mistrust us all?" Marple's moustache twitched. "I observe." "That is all." Hartwell stepped back. She whispered to Barrow. No one heard the words. Marple caught only the glance. Barrow nodded once. The villagers pressed closer. A boy pointed. His mother pulled him away. The psalter remained untouched. Yet tension grew. Marple folded her knitting. She watched the hands again. Nervous. Restless. Waiting. Marple exhaled slowly. "Something will move soon." Hastings frowned. "What do you mean?" Marple did not answer. The vicar raised his voice. "A hymn, perhaps, to mark the moment." No one joined. Sir Thomas shifted. His jaw tightened. The guests stood still, eyes fixed on the table, and then a shadow touched the case. The light flickered. Every head turned. The room went tense. The psalter was gone. Empty case. Gasps filled the silence. The vicar froze. Sir Thomas swore under his breath. Marple leaned closer. "It has begun." Hastings blinked fast. "But how?" "No time," said Marple. Wilkins raised both hands. "I saw nothing." Mrs. Crawford's eyes narrowed. "You saw too much." Hartwell stepped forward. "Stand back, all of you." Barrow blocked the exit. His arms crossed firm. Villagers shouted in confusion. The boy cried out. His mother dragged him away. Sir Thomas slammed the case. "Impossible, I was here." Marple shook his head. "Not impossible, only fast." Marple rose slowly. Her knitting slipped aside. Her eyes scanned the floor. No broken glass, no scattered fragments, only a gap. Slack burst through the door. He carried authority like a weapon. "What's happening here?" His voice cut hard. The vicar pointed. The psalter vanished. Slack marched to the table. He bent low. He saw the empty space. He turned red. "Locked doors. How did it go?" No one answered. Hastings stammered. "Just a flicker." Then nothing. Slack glared at him. "Not good enough." Marple raised a finger. "Patience, Inspector. The thief is still inside." Wilkins coughed. You accuse us? Accuse? Marple smiled thinly. I simply observe. Hartwell pulled a list from her bag. She marked names with a pen. Everyone stays here. Barrow checked the windows. Bolts held tight. Sir Thomas clenched his fist. This is my family duty. No thief shall escape. Mrs. Crawford gave him a sharp look. Guardianship is never simple. Slack turned to Marple. You saw? Marple shook her head. I listened. People reveal more in sound than in sight. Slack frowned. That means nothing. It will, she said. Hartwell snapped. Enough delay. Search them all. Gasps again. Guests protested. Wilkins stepped back. I will not be searched like a common criminal. Slack pushed forward. You will be searched like anyone else. Barrow moved closer. Hands ready. Wilkins froze. Marple's voice cut the air. Too quick for pockets. Too precious for sleeves. Marple added softly. Gone, but not far. Slack spun around. What do you mean? Marple looked down. Her eyes traced a scuff near the table. Not far at all, she murmured. The crowd leaned closer. Slack lifted his whistle. He blew sharp. The sound pierced the hall. Everyone winced. The room held still, for a heartbeat. Then, a scream cut the noise. Dr. Lockwood lay still. The vestry door stood ajar, his body half inside, half outside. Slack barked. Keep back. Marple bent low. Too late, Hastings. A small vial rolled away. Marple's eyes caught it. Poison, she whispered. The label smudged. A bitter smell lingered. Sir Thomas shut his eyes. God help us. Hastings gasped. Poison? Then murder. Marple shook his head. Perhaps murder. Perhaps despair. Slack pushed closer. Which is it? Marple did not answer. Instead, he pointed. Lockwood's hand clenched something. A scrap of paper. Slack pried it free. One word scrawled. Chapel. The room stirred. Hartwell grabbed it first. She frowned. Why, this word? Wilkins raised his voice. He was raving. Nothing more. Marple's voice stayed calm. Dying men waste no words. Wilkins stepped back. I barely knew him. This shocks me. Barrow's stare locked on Wilkins. You knew him better than you claim. Wilkins flushed red. What nonsense! Marple's moustache twitched. Interesting denial, monsieur. Slack knelt by the body. No glass shattered. No struggle here. Marple pointed at the floor. The vial was dropped, not thrown. Hastings frowned. So he meant to use it? Or it was forced upon him, Marple replied. Mrs. Crawford stepped forward, her eyes steady. He was Herrick. The room froze. Slack scowled. What did you say? She repeated calmly. Lockwood was Jonathan Herrick, the forger. Gasps followed. Hastings stammered. But he was a doctor. No, said Mrs. Crawford. He was an expert. Forgeries, manuscripts, all of it. Marple nodded slowly. So the puzzle deepens. Hartwell folded her arms. A thief among thieves. And now dead. Sir Thomas muttered. A curse on this book. Marple watched hands again. Wilkins trembled slightly. Barrow clenched his jaw. Slack looked at Marple. You believe her? Marple shrugged. She knows too much to invent. Wilkins shouted. Lies. All lies. Mrs. Crawford's tone did not shift. You all played roles. His was already finished. Hartwell snapped. Enough riddles. Who killed him? Silence answered. Marple glanced back at the paper. Chapel. A place. A clue. Perhaps a warning. Hastings rubbed his forehead. Then this is only the beginning. Slack growled. And the killer is still inside. The guests stepped back. Fear thickened. Marple closed her knitting bag. She whispered to herself. Truth travels quietly. Marple tilted his head. Indeed, Miss Marple, and whispers louder than shouts. Slack raised his whistle again. He took one breath. But Mrs. Crawford spoke first, her voice low, her words sharp. "It begins." Marple noticed the glass. A scratch. Thin. Uneven. Not where it should be. She leaned closer. Marple followed her gaze. "You see it too?" she whispered. Marple nodded. "Tiny mark. Yet it speaks." Slack squinted. "I see nothing." Marple tapped lightly. "Then train your eyes, mon ami." The vicar stepped back, his face uneasy. Marple kept her voice calm. "Reverend, how was this case handled?" The vicar fumbled. "Locked. Always locked." Druitt moved closer. "You're hiding something." The vicar shook his head. "I swear, I am not." Slack scowled. "You knew this might happen." The vicar's lips tightened. "Careful, Inspector. I serve truth." Mrs. Crawford's eyes stayed on him. "You serve more than truth, I think." The vicar's hands trembled. Marple raised a hand. "One question, Reverend. Did you check the book yourself?" The vicar hesitated. Slack caught the pause. "You didn't." Druitt pressed forward. "Answer him. Did you even open it?" The vicar looked away. Marple folded her hands. "A scratch tells its tale. Not the same glass." Slack barked. "Speak, man." The vicar's voice dropped. "I did not open it." Marple's mustache twitched. "Then who did?" The vicar stayed silent. Barrow stepped near. "You saw someone." The vicar shook his head. "I saw no one. I trusted." Mrs. Crawford's voice sharpened. "Trusted whom?" The vicar stammered. "Sir Thomas arranged it. He brought it here." All eyes turned. Sir Thomas stiffened. "My family has kept it safe for centuries." Hartwell narrowed her gaze. "And yet it vanished under your guard." Sir Thomas clenched his jaw. "Blame me if you must." But the vicar agreed. The vicar's head dropped. "I agreed. Yes, but I had doubts." Slack struck the table. "You let this happen." Marple shook his head. "Not let." Fear silenced him. Hastings frowned. "Fear of what?" Marple said nothing. Marple leaned forward. Her eyes locked on the vicar. "Tell the truth. We cannot proceed without it." The vicar's eyes darted. Sweat formed at his brow. Slack growled. "Say it." The room pressed in. Guests silent. Waiting. The vicar whispered. "You do not understand." Druitt snapped. "Then make us understand." The vicar's hands gripped the rail, his knuckles pale. Marple's tone softened. "You knew from the start." He shook his head. "I prayed it was not so." Marple stepped forward. "Then confess, Reverend, what truth hides here?" The vicar's chest heaved. His voice cracked. That was not the real Salter. Names no longer matched faces. Wilkins stumbled in his speech. "Forgery. I mean, manuscript study." Marple caught the slip. "Ah. A curious correction." Wilkins cleared his throat. "A simple mistake." Marple shook her head. "Mistakes reveal more than truth." Mrs. Crawford stepped forward. She adjusted her brooch. Her tone sharpened. "The Psalter was copied twice in the 14th century." The vicar blinked. "How could you know that?" Crawford smiled faintly. "Because I compared both hands. One English, one French." Slack narrowed his eyes. "You're no socialite." Crawford did not deny it. Hartwell watched her closely. Barrow's stare shifted. "Tell us who you really are." Mrs. Crawford folded her arms. "Not yet." Wilkins scoffed. "Convenient. You claim expertise but give no proof." Crawford turned on him. "You slipped when you spoke. You knew Lockwood as Herrick, long before anyone else." Wilkins' face reddened. "Rubbish." Marple's moustache twitched. "Touché, madame. He did betray himself." Hartwell stepped forward, her voice steady. "Too many lies. I need answers." Barrow tilted his head. "Your need sounds personal." Hartwell stiffened, her eyes sharp on him. "Explain yourself." Barrow did not blink. You react as if this case touches more than duty. Slack crossed his arms. Meaning? Barrow looked at Hartwell. You are not only a guest, you are involved. Gasps ran through the room. Hartwell's jaw tightened. That is absurd. Marple raised a hand. Not absurd. Not yet proven. But interesting. Marple spoke softly. Layers peel one by one. Faces change. Names follow. Wilkins snapped. Enough riddles. Hastings whispered to Marple. What is happening here? Marple answered. Masks. Hastings. One atop another. Crawford said firmly. We play roles. Some to protect. Some to deceive. Slack tapped the table. Then start stripping those roles now. The vicar trembled. This is wickedness. Marple looked at him. Not wickedness. Strategy. Barrow moved a step closer to Hartwell. She did not move. Their eyes locked. Neither spoke. The silence pressed. Marple's needles clicked again. Her eyes fixed on all three. Wilkins, Crawford, Hartwell. Shadows behind names. Truth beneath words. Hastings swallowed hard. His voice barely above a whisper. Too many masks. Snowbeam hit stone. The chapel stood silent. Slack frowned. What do we gain here? Marple raised a finger. Patience, Inspector. The sun speaks. The light shifted slowly. It struck one wall. A single mark appeared. Thin, precise. Marple leaned forward. Her eyes narrowed. She pointed. There. That line is not natural. Hastings blinked. I'd have missed it. Marple nodded. Many would. But not Miss Marple. Barrow walked closer. His boots echoed. He pressed the stone. Nothing moved. Hartwell studied the wall. What does it mean? Marple lowered herself to her knees. Her hands brushed the edge. She paused, her voice quiet. A join. Hidden. Long hidden. Slack grunted. A trick of the light. Marple shook her head. No trick. A signal. Sir Thomas grew pale. This place is older than memory. Mrs. Crawford folded her arms. Templar marks. I have seen them before. Wilkins scoffed. Now you are all dreamers. Marple stared at him. You deny too quickly, Professor. Wilkins shifted uneasily. Hastings whispered. What happens if she's right? Marple smiled faintly. Then something waits behind that wall. Barrow pressed harder. Still nothing moved. Marple tapped with her thimble. A hollow sound answered. Slack's eyes widened. That stone? Marple replied. Number. That is space. Hartwell stepped back. Her hand reached her coat. She looked ready. Sir Thomas whispered. My family knew whispers of this. Marple looked up at him. Then you also feared this moment? Sir Thomas said nothing. The vicar wrung his hands. This is sacred ground. Mrs. Crawford's reply was sharp. Sacred or stolen, history is still history, Wilkins hissed. You speak like a thief, Crawford snapped. Better than speaking like a liar. Barrow raised his lantern. The mark caught the light. A small shape gleamed. Not random, not decoration. Marple's voice grew firm. An entrance, concealed, sealed for centuries. Slack stepped closer. How do we open it? No one answered. Marple touched the edge again. Her fingers felt a groove. She looked at Marple. Here, a lock. Marple bent down. He traced it with care. Yes, a lock, but no key. Hartwell whispered. Perhaps the Psalter itself. Crawford shook her head. Number, the Psalter is already false. Hastings muttered. Then what is real? Marple said quietly, whatever lies behind. The light flared again. It glinted once more. This time inside the groove. A hidden keyhole glints back. The key turned halfway. A sharp click echoed. Barrow gripped the lock. Wilkins lunged forward. Let me! He shoved Barrow aside. Slack shouted. Stop that! Crawford's voice cut through. Careful! It's trapped. Wilkins sneered. Or perhaps you fear discovery. Barrow shoved back. You're hiding something. The wall groaned faintly. Marple raised his hand. Gentlemen, force will break more than stone. Wilkins ignored him. He pulled harder. The lock stuck fast. Crawford's eyes narrowed. Don't. Not yet. Hartwell moved closer. Her hand brushed her coat again. Hastings whispered, She's armed. Marple nodded slightly. Observe, Hastings. Not all keys are metal. Wilkins smirked. You talk riddles. I deal in facts. Then came the twist. As Wilkins strained, a folded slip fell from his sleeve. Barrow stooped fast. He snatched it. Slack barked, Read it. Barrow unfolded the paper. His face darkened. It bore a map. Crawford stepped closer. Where did you get that? Wilkins stammered. A forgery, nothing real. Marple snatched it. He studied the lines. Not forgery. Blueprint. This wall. This chapel. The room fell silent. Hartwell's eyes sharpened. You planned this before tonight. Wilkins spat back. Nonsense. I only... Marple interrupted. You only slipped. The truth is written here. Slack's jaw tightened. So you admit knowledge? Wilkins turned red. I admit nothing. Barrow grabbed his arm. You admit enough. The key rattled again. Marple spoke quietly. Fights solve little, but slips solve everything. Her gaze stayed on Wilkins. He looked away. Marple held up the map. This proves intent, Wilkins growled. It proves nothing without the treasure. He shoved Barrow hard. Barrow staggered back. Crawford cried, Don't open it! The seal may release more than you expect. Sir Thomas turned pale. My family warned of danger. Hartwell snapped. Danger or not, we must proceed. Slack pulled his truncheon free. Order will hold, or I'll enforce it. Wilkins snarled. You enforce nothing here. He shoved the lock again. The key grated. Half turn only. Marple whispered. It resists. Perhaps for a reason. Wilkins glared at him. Or perhaps because you delay. He tore his arm free of Barrow's grip. Gasps rose. Wilkins' hand darted to his coat. Steel flashed. He drew a blade. Blood touched the stone. Wilkins staggered. His eyes widened. The knife jutted from his chest. He gasped once, then fell. Slack froze. Who struck him? No one answered. Barrow's hands were empty. Hartwell stepped back. Crawford clutched her arm. Marple bent slowly. He touched the hilt. Clean. Fast. A practiced thrust. Hastings shook his head. I saw nothing. Marple spoke softly. That is the danger. No one saw, yet all stood close. Slack barked. Search them. He spun around, eyes scanning every guest. Sir Thomas raised his hands. I carried no blade, Crawford hissed. Nor did I. Hartwell's gaze stayed cold. Not all knives are carried openly. Barrow knelt by Wilkins. He's gone. Marple nodded. Dead men tell no tales, but knives do. He lifted the weapon, the blade short, curved slightly. Slack growled. A dagger, not a kitchen knife. Marple agreed. Military. Quick concealment. Hartwell stiffened. Her hand dropped from her coat. Barrow caught the movement. Why carry weapons here? Hartwell glared. I am not the only one. Crawford turned sharply. You accuse yourself with every word. Hartwell snapped. And you with every secret. The room bristled. Voices clashed. Marple raised his voice. Enough. Silence fell. Marple held the blade aloft. One thrust, one motion, one killer. Hastings whispered. Then one of us. Marple nodded. Yes, and the strike was deliberate. Slack slammed his fist. Who stood nearest? All looked at each other. No clear answer. Marple placed the dagger on cloth. He studied faces one by one. Barrow's jaw was tight. Crawford's breath short. Hartwell's eyes narrow. Sir Thomas pale. The vicar trembling. Hastings uneasy. Marple murmured. Everyone had time. The strike took but a heartbeat. Slack glared. You're saying anyone could have done it? Exactly, Marple replied, and so the field widens, not narrows. Barrow stood. Then suspicion poisons all, Crawford whispered. Perhaps that is the design. Hartwell moved closer. Perhaps. Or perhaps one hand was trained for this very act. Marple tilted his head. Spoken like one who knows. Hartwell's voice dropped. Or like one who refuses ignorance. Slack raised his whistle. No one leaves this chapel. His voice shook with fury. Hastings stepped back. This is madness. Marple's eyes stayed on the dagger. Not madness, a message. Hartwell turned toward the group, her words cold. One of us killed him. Mrs. Crawford set aside her pearls, her hands steady, her voice clear. My name is not Crawford. Slack frowned. Then who are you? She looked straight at him. Doctor. Elena Winters. Hastings blinked. A scholar? She nodded once. Cambridge. Medieval manuscripts. Specialist in forgery detection. Marple's mustache twitched. Ah, a change of costume. Hartwell crossed her arms. So you deceived us. Winters did not flinch. I infiltrated. The ring thrives on disguise. I had to match it. Slack growled. You lied to police. Winters shook her head. I lied to thieves, not to law. Barrow stepped closer. You tracked them before tonight? Yes, Winters said. Jonathan Herrick, Robert Farrington, and others unnamed. Wilkins' dead body lay still nearby. Winters continued. The salter was bait. The theft exposed the network. Marple nodded slowly. And the forgeries? Winters drew papers from her bag. They passed through Herrick's hands. Ink, inconsistent. Fibers modern. Marple leaned forward. You traced them back. Yes, Winters said. Through Herrick, through Wilkins, through shadow buyers in London. Slack snatched the papers. He skimmed fast. This is evidence, Winters said quietly. It is danger. The ring silences those who hold proof. Hartwell's eyes narrowed. And now Herrick lies dead. Wilkins, too. Winters met her gaze. That is no end. Others remain. Marple raised one eyebrow. You risk your life. Winters smiled faintly. I risked it long ago. Tonight only proves the cost. Hastings frowned. Then why hide as Crawford? Because women with pearls are ignored, Winters replied. They hear more than scholars invited. Marple's lips curved slightly. Wise choice. Appear harmless. Collect truth. Slack slammed the table. This should have been reported first. Winters faced him. Would you have believed me, or dismissed me as meddling? Slack said nothing. Marple stepped between them. Let us not quarrel. We need facts. Winters unfolded another sheet. A ledger. Names. Numbers. Deliveries, marked in code. She tapped one entry. Lockwood carried these accounts. Only he could manage the sums. Hastings frowned. Lockwood? But he was just... Winters cut him off. He was Herrick. The room froze. Slack dropped the ledger. Barrow swore under his breath. Hartwell's face hardened. Marple's eyes glimmered. Then the circle closes. Winters repeated, calm and steady. Lockwood was Herrick. Hartwell raised her badge. The room froze. Special branch, she said. Gasps followed. Slack's face turned red. You? You deceived us? Hartwell stayed firm. My duty demanded silence. Marple tilted his head. Interesting reveal, madame, Hastings whispered. She's police? Yes, Marple said. Not ordinary police. Higher. Barrow stepped forward. He opened his coat. He pulled a small card. Military intelligence, he said. Another wave of shock. The vicar stumbled back. Good Lord. Marple's eyes stayed calm. 2 agents, in one chapel. Hartwell nodded. We watched the ring for months. We knew Wilkins. We suspected Herrick. Tonight we confirmed both. Slack shook his head. You infiltrated without telling me. Hartwell's tone sharpened. You would have compromised the case. Slack's fists clenched. I run this village, not you. Marple stepped between them. Calm. Authority divides, not unites. Barrow added, Our orders came direct, higher than county lines. Hastings swallowed hard. This feels bigger than a stolen book. Hartwell pointed to the ledger Winters held. That is why. Names in those pages fund more than theft. Smuggling, corruption, even arms. Winters nodded. True. The Salter was bait. They wanted leverage. Marple's voice grew quiet. And now 2 men lie dead. Hartwell looked down. Necessary risks. We knew the danger. Slack slammed his truncheon. You knew, but you let it happen. Hartwell's eyes did not move. I let the truth surface. Barrow folded his arms. The ring runs wide. Wilkins was not leader, only a hand. Others remain hidden. Marple asked, Then why reveal now? Hartwell answered, Because time runs out. Herrick dead. Wilkins dead. The rest will scatter unless we strike tonight. Marple spoke softly, But murder has already struck tonight. The words cut deep. Silence followed. Hastings rubbed his forehead. So everyone in this room wears a mask, Marple replied. Perhaps. But some masks serve duty, not greed, Winters added. And some masks conceal betrayal. Hartwell faced the group. Understand this. I am not guest. I am authority. Disobey, and you obstruct the crown. Slack muttered. Crown or not, this is my ground. Barrow's voice cut in. Your ground means nothing when the enemy reaches London. Hartwell looked at him. Her tone softened. You and I both risked much. You know the stakes. Barrow gave a curt nod. Yes. The stakes are nations. Marple folded his arms. Then our stage is larger than we thought. Marple studied Hartwell. Her needles paused. Even duty hides fear, she said. Hartwell did not answer. She looked away. Sir Thomas shifted. His face pale. He stepped back slowly. Sir Thomas opened the chapel chest. The lid creaked. Inside lay papers. Old, faded. Beside them, relics wrapped in cloth. A seal rested on top. The cross of his family. Slack leaned forward. What is this? Sir Thomas breathed heavy. My lineage. My burden. Marple's eyes narrowed. Explain, monsieur. Sir Thomas lifted the seal. This chest has been in Hartwell hands for centuries, passed from father to son, guarded through wars, hidden through unrest. Hartwell's gaze sharpened. You guarded treasure in secret. Sir Thomas shook his head. Not treasure. Duty. My oath was clear. Protect the contents. Reveal to none. Winters stepped closer. Even when forgers closed in. Yes, he said, because knowledge invites greed. The Salter was never mine, nor this. I only carried guardianship. Barrow's jaw tightened. You should have told authorities. Sir Thomas raised his chin. Authority changes. Kingdoms fall. Governments fail. But my oath does not. Slack growled. Oath or not, hiding relics is crime. Sir Thomas snapped back. Law bends. Duty does not. Marple lifted a paper. The writing old. The Latin clear. These are original charters. Marple murmured. Sir Thomas nodded. Sealed by knights long dead. I protect their voice. Hartwell's voice cut sharp. You think you protect them. You endanger us all. Secrets fuel enemies. Sir Thomas turned on her. You see weapons. I see history. Winters spread her hands. Both can be true. Relics shift into symbols. Symbols into power. And power is always stolen. Marple spoke quietly. And those who guard power carry its curse. Sir Thomas looked at her. Her words struck deep. Hastings whispered to Marple. He knew all along. Marple nodded. Yes. He hid more than the Salter. Barrow demanded. What else lies inside? Sir Thomas opened another bundle. A fragment of parchment, faded ink, an oath written in blood. Hartwell stiffened. This is evidence of Templar rights. Sir Thomas held it high. This is what they died to protect. Slack barked. It belongs to the crown. No, Sir Thomas said firmly. "It belongs to no ruler. It belongs to time." Hartwell glared. "You cannot keep it." Sir Thomas's voice dropped. "I never said I would." Winters frowned. "Then what do you mean?" He closed the chest. His face darkened. "Not all of it can remain here." The cache was too large. Sir Thomas stared at the chest. "Some items are sacred," Hartwell replied coldly. "Some are dangerous." Slack slammed his fist. "All are evidence. None belong to you." Barrow shook his head. "You cannot decide so quickly. These carry weight beyond law." Winters spoke sharply. "Weight that fuels greed. We cannot protect both kinds." Marple lifted one relic. A seal. A mark of vows. Sacred, yes, but not dangerous. He held another. A coded parchment. "This, however, is a weapon if sold." Hartwell nodded. "Then divide them. Sacred to archives. Dangerous to crown." Sir Thomas growled. "You think you choose? My family carried this longer than your government has stood." Slack pointed at him. "You will hand it over, or I will seize it." The vicar trembled. "Sacred items must remain in holy trust." Winters turned sharply. "You knew of this too." The vicar said nothing. Marple's eyes glimmered. He knew more than he confessed. The room grew tense. Then came the twist. Winters pulled another slip from her satchel. It bore a seal not from the chest. She placed it on the table. "This was delivered to me a month ago, by Lockwood himself." Gasps followed. Hastings stammered. But Lockwood Herrick was already inside the ring. Winters nodded. "Yes, but he wanted out. He sent me this seal as proof. Proof that Sir Thomas already shared pieces outside these walls." All eyes turned. Sir Thomas stiffened. "That is false." Marple leaned closer. "Then explain how Herrick carried a seal that was never meant to leave your chest." Sir Thomas's face went pale. Hartwell's voice sharpened. "You betrayed your oath before tonight." Sir Thomas's jaw tightened. "I acted to protect, not betray." Slack roared. "You sold secrets." "No," Sir Thomas barked. "I placed them where danger could not reach," Winters whispered. "And yet danger reached anyway." Barrow's voice cut. "Enough. Decision must be made now. Sacred or dangerous, we divide." Marple finally spoke, her tone quiet. "Division brings no peace. Each hand that carries will be judged." Her words sank deep. Silence spread. Fletcher moved. He tapped Thomas on the shoulder. A signal, clear, unspoken. Sir Thomas turned to him. They both stepped back. Fletcher signaled Thomas to leave with him. Two men vanished into night. Sir Thomas and Fletcher were gone. The door left ajar. Slack cursed loud. "Find them!" Barrow checked the path. They planned this. Tracks already hidden. Hartwell clenched her fists. "They will not get far." Marple shook his head. "They prepared long before tonight. They will be ghosts," Hastings muttered. "But they carried the chest." Marple corrected him. "Not the whole. Only what mattered to them." Slack barked at constables. "Search every road." The constables rushed out. Barrow held his ground. "They are trained. Ordinary search will fail." Hartwell glared at him. "You knew Fletcher." Barrow's jaw tightened. "Yes, we served once. He chose another path." Winters spoke firmly. "He chose betrayal." Marple raised one hand. "Or duty, as he defines it. Men name betrayal differently." Slack slammed his truncheon on the table. "Stop talking riddles, they're fugitives." Hartwell looked at Marple. "We must pursue." "At once," Marple said softly. "Pursuit brings nothing if destination is unknown." Marple's eyes lifted from her knitting. "Departure means choice." They left to end the debate. They will not wait for judgment. Slack shook his head. "So we do nothing?" Marple answered. "We do not chase shadows. We uncover why they fled." Winters unfolded the ledger again. "Because these names tie them all. If the Crown sees this, Thomas loses honor. Fletcher loses freedom. Slack growled. They already lost both. Barrow stepped forward. Number, they protected something larger. Look at the entries. Weapons moved, money laundered, even foreign marks appear. Hartwell scanned the pages. Her face hardened. This is treason. Marple nodded. And yet, treason covered with duty. Hastings whispered. They think themselves heroes. Yes, Marple said, but heroes who run seldom return. Slack struck the wall with his fist. Cowards. Marple spoke gently. Not cowards. Chosen. They carried what they believed only they could bear. Winters looked at her. And you think that noble? Marple shook her head. Number, only dangerous. Hartwell turned to Barrow. Where will they go? Barrow hesitated, then spoke low. North. Old contacts. Safe houses. Fletcher once told me of a place. Slack leaned close. Then lead us there. Barrow did not move. I can lead, but I cannot promise capture. Marple whispered. Capture may not be the end. Their path may close itself. Marple's eyes rested on the empty door. Her needles stopped. Some journeys have no return. Hartwell muttered, voice cold. They will never return. Slack held the pen. The desk before him was crowded with papers. He bent his head. The others watched. Hartwell crossed her arms. Make it clear. Public safety must come first. Slack grunted. Public safety or public lie? Marple leaned back. Inspector, you choose words that will remain, not vanish. Slack wrote slowly. Wilkins named as thief. Herrick as forger. Conspiracy between them. Winters shook her head. That erases the truth. Slack did not look up. It calms the village. They need a villain, not a puzzle. Barrow stepped closer. You protect your record, not the people. Slack snapped. I protect order. Panic spreads faster than fact. Hartwell nodded once. He is right. The Crown will not release chaos. It requires clean lines. Marple spoke softly. Clean lines cut deep. They leave scars. Slack kept writing. Wilkins dead. Herrick dead. Case closed. Winters pressed her hand on the table. This ledger proves more. Slack shoved it aside. Ledger will vanish into locked files. Classified. Forgotten. Marple raised an eyebrow. And the ring? Slack muttered. Broken. Barrow shook his head. Not broken. Only hidden. They will rise again. Hartwell answered. Then we strike again when they rise. That is the state's way. Hastings frowned. But what of truth? Hartwell turned cold. Truth bends to survival. Remember that, Captain. Winters clenched her fists. You bury lives with lies. Slack set down the pen. Better lies than fear in every home. Marple sighed. You trade justice for calm. That bargain never holds. Slack glared. You speak as if you carry the burden, but you walk away. I stay. Marple replied gently. And yet history never forgets. Lies written now will bleed tomorrow. Hartwell cut him short. Enough philosophy. The report stands. 2 criminals. No wider plot. No sacred chest. Barrow muttered. And no mention of Thomas or Fletcher. Hartwell did not blink. They vanished. Let them vanish. Better ghosts than scandal. Winters turned to Marple. And you, madam? Do you accept this false ending? Marple's needles clicked once. I do not accept. I only endure. Truth hides, but it never dies. Slack blew out a breath. Then we are done. He signed the page. Hartwell folded it into her file. Barrow looked away. Winters shook her head slowly. Hastings sighed, voice heavy. And justice? Even tension. No twist. The knot sat firm. Marple leaned closer. He touched the cord. A square knot, he said. Marple nodded. Not sailor's work. Not priest's work. This is housework. Slack frowned. What do you mean? Marple's eyes softened. It is stitching. The hand of a woman. Winters stepped forward. Specific. Familiar. Not random, Marple agreed. Yes, someone trained with thread, not rope. Hastings frowned. Then who? Druitt's face turned pale. He stepped back. Impossible. Marple's eyes fixed on him. Why impossible? Druitt pointed at the knot. I have seen that hand before. My own maid's. Nell. The room stirred. Nell sat at the back, silent, eyes lowered. Marple spoke gently. She has patience. She has skill. She ties her sewing with such knots. Druitt shook his head. She could not. Marple's voice was sharp. She could, Slack barked. Bring her forward. Constable stepped aside. Nell rose slowly. Her hands trembled, her face pale. Druitt whispered, Nell, tell them it's not you. Nell said nothing. Winters looked at her. You were near the vestry. You carried cloth. You had access. Nell's lips parted, her voice thin. I was there. I saw him fall. Slack roared. You struck him? Nell shook her head. I gave him water, but he had no thirst, only poison. Marple asked quietly. And the knot? Nell lifted her hand. I tied it. Not for theft, for message. Hastings frowned. Message? Nell's eyes glistened. My brother died because of Herrick. Forged papers stole his land. Left him ruined. He wasted away. I swore I would not forgive. Druitt's voice cracked. You never told me, Nell whispered. You never asked. Marple's tone remained steady. So you took justice in your own hands. Nell straightened. Her trembling ceased. Yes. Slack's fist slammed the table. Murder, plain and simple. Nell's gaze did not move. You call it murder. I call it balance. Justice is never simple. The papers said case closed. Wilkins the thief. Herrick the forger. Both dead. Slack satisfied. The Crown silent. The village uneasy. Whispers filled corners. Some believed. Some doubted. But the file was sealed. Hartwell returned to London. Barrow disappeared north. Winters stayed behind, restless. Sir Thomas and Fletcher never returned, their absence a shadow. Slack sighed to Marple. So it ends? Marple shook his head. No, Hastings. Truth never ends. It hides. It waits. Hastings frowned. And Nell? Marple lowered his voice. She confessed balance, not guilt. She will not face trial. Slack chose silence. Hastings muttered. Strange justice. Marple replied. Not strange. Convenient. Marple sat with folded hands. Her knitting lay untouched. She thought of Nell. The steady knot. The steady voice. Her brother's ruin. Her silent revenge. Marple whispered. Pain creates its own court. Winters turned to her. Do you excuse her? No, said Marple softly. I understand her. That is different. Winters stared at the ledger. These names remain, untouched, hidden, Marple answered, because power prefers half-truths to full storms. Winters clenched her fists. Then justice is buried again, Marple said. Justice bends, but it does not vanish. Slack shook his head. Too many masks, too many lies. Marple's eyes glimmered. Masks are never endless. Sooner or later, one slips. Slack entered the room, his report in hand. He looked tired. Village will rest now, he said. Marple asked, And will you rest? Slack gave no answer. He left. The door closed hard. Winters gathered her papers. I leave tomorrow. Cambridge needs my account. Marple looked at her. Be careful, madame. Truth invites enemies. She gave a faint smile. I already knew that. She walked away. Silence returned. Hastings leaned close to Marple. You don't seem content. Marple shook her head. I am not. Justice was twisted. Truth was softened. And silence filled the gaps. Marple nodded. Such is often the way, Marple whispered. But silence poisons too. Villagers feel it already. Outside, voices murmured. Uneasy, suspicious, afraid. The story written in papers pleased officials, but not hearts, not souls. Marple folded her hands again. She closed her eyes for a moment. Her lips moved in thought. "Justice is never simple," she repeated. Then came sound. 3 knocks. Firm. Sudden. A knock came at Marple's door.